Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Refugee to Industrial Regent, Season 2. As we proceed into the main magic phase of development for Stage 5 for Basilian Industria, I thought I'd show you what I've done with the fields in South Odessas, particularly with respect to magical crops. We have here the Essence crop. It is the basic crop of the Magical Crops mod. It grows from essence seeds, which can be obtained from breaking grass. And there are 4 distinct products that it can drop. It can drop essence seeds. It can drop essence, which obviously can plants make more essence crops. It can drop this essence dust, which can be used for well, mostly for making infusion stones, but you can also upgrade into weak essences in a 4-to-1 ratio once you get the infusion stone. Of course, those require diamonds and emeralds, which are not generally available at this stage, so that's not going to happen. You can use the essence dust to make infused coal. I haven't tried that, so I have no idea what, if anything, it does. Of course, you can decompose it into these carbon nanotubes with Minechem, which I have not gotten into yet. That's pretty much it. The weak essence is a bit more useful, and it's taking a minute to come up. Aside from being upgradable into regular essence, and of course craftable back into essence dust, you can also use it to make coal seeds, dye seeds. I did make some of those. You'll see a field full of them in a little bit. Water seeds, I've got a few of those. Crafted a few, got a few from harvesting the few that I crafted. I've got fire seeds, earth seeds, which I have, and air seeds. Those are all elemental seeds. You can also use them to make infused coal. You get more of these carbon nanotubes out of it, and that's about it. There is a 4th product, which I'll probably have to harvest this whole field to get even a few of. The seeds, of course, are pretty common. I seem to get on average 1.5 per plant, give or take. You might see some here and there of the 4th product. Yeah, I checked. I started with 76 plants, and I wound up with 96 seeds, so about 1 1/3. And let me go ahead and replant them so that I have a crop to harvest in the future. And meantime, let me show you this nature essence, which is the last of the 4 products. You can use it to make stone mossy. You can make vines, lily pads. You can combine it with dirt and mushrooms to make mycelium. You can combine it with bone meal and diamonds to make magic fertilizer. I'm probably not going to get very much into that magic fertilizer, I don't think. And you can combine it with regular magical crops food to make magical food, which will give a health regen effect. I have to admit, I haven't done much with the magical food. And by much, I mean anything. But let me go ahead and finish replanting this field. There we go. There we go. The field is replanted. And like I said, I did make some dye seeds. I started out with, I think, 4 or 5. And I've managed to grow the dye crops into this entire field here. I will not harvest it, but I will go ahead and harvest one. You can get the essence. I think you can get weak essences out of them sometimes, but it's pretty rare. But the big draw is the dye essence, which you can use in addition to upgrading infusion stones. You can use it to make almost any type of dye. I believe bone meal is the main exception. Although I think there's only 13 available, so there's 2 others that are missing. Couldn't tell you what they are offhand, but I'm not too concerned about the exceptions. In case you're wondering, last episode I used green stained glass from Tinker's Construct for the roof and the windows of the central rail terminal in Byzantium. These dye crops are where the cactus green came from to color that. 3 dye essence. In this particular pattern, gives you 6 cactus green. The other 2 crops I built, and I will go ahead and harvest and replant these. They're pretty simple. Like I said, I made the water, and that gives me water essence. 14 of them out of 12 I had planted. That's not bad. And I've done much the same thing with the earth seeds over here. I started out with, I think, 4 of each. I now have 14 water and 15 earth. Now the main recipe I made from these is, let me rotate that, yeah. Clay balls. 2 earth essence plus 2 water essence gives me clay balls. And let me look at the other recipes you can make out of this. Okay, so you can combine 1 water and 3 earth to make leaves. Of course, the type of leaf depends on the orientation. Alright, 2 water and 2 air gives you snowballs. 4 water essence around a bucket gives you a water bucket. That's probably got its uses, but I can't see them offhand. Of course, there's the recipe I made the most use of. 2 earth essence plus 2 water essence gives us 32 clay balls. And finally, we can actually combine water essence with bread to make water-breathing bread. Yeah. Not something I'm going to get into too much this stage. Now, for the earth essence, so we've got the same leaf recipes, the same clay recipe. Pure earth essence can allow us to craft dirt, and if we combine 2 earth and fire essence, we get cobblestone. Okay. Some interesting stuff that we can make out of those essences. And having shown you all of the magical crops I've got to this point, I'm going to go back to Byzantium to take care of some preliminary crafting before we go into this episode's main project. I shall return. Alright, before I go into the magic, I'd like to point out one comment about my Thaumcraft development. In stage 4, I went pretty hard into the basic information research, and I think I got almost all of it sorted out. This stage, I'm focusing on thaumaturgy and alchemy, pretty much to the exclusion of everything else. The one exception is the one research from artifice that I had to grab to make any significant headway into thaumaturgy, and that is this infusion. And yes, it does have this recipe for this runic matrix, which will allow me to build this infusion altar, but first I need to craft this arcane stone block, and thankfully I have a fully charged gold-banded greatwood wand. That should help. Now, whether I have enough in there for everything, I honestly kind of doubt it. Alright, but let's go ahead and grab the stone. There we go. Alright, we're doing pretty good on that front. Now I can go into the infusion. This is a really expensive recipe in terms of ordo. So I want to make sure I get it sorted out. It is, I believe, stone blocks in the corner. Ender portal in the middle. Yes, there we go. The runic matrix. And now, let's see. 2, 3. I forget how many of these I was going to craft. 10. 3. Yeah. Yeah, let's see. 7, 8, 9. That doesn't seem right. Sure, does that right? Let me think here. Okay, yeah, 9 is right. 1 for the middle, 8. Okay, oops, I guess that makes 2 each, not 1. Irk. Alright. Well. Oh well. Now I could get into alchemy a little bit. well, thaumaturgy here rather, make this thaumium wand cap, but I need thaumium nuggets for that. The wand needs to be recharged anyway, so I might as well, well, actually no, I can't grab it out of there quite yet. There we go. There we go, and now 11 slabs, and then 77 glass panes, plus 11 aqua, gives me 11 warded jars. I will need them in the time lapse, which will be starting, really right up, well, let me get out of my Thaumcraft research tower. And time lapse starting now. And as you have probably guessed from the magic orientation of this episode, and the fact that I've focused particularly on Thaumcraft, this time-lapse will be for my Thaumcraft production facility. It is a bit short and stubby to be called a tower, but I probably will be referring to it as such in subsequent episodes. The first thing I did was lay out the interior floor and replace it with white stone bricks on the edge and smooth black stone on the interior. Now I have to admit, there is a small recipe conflict in the mod pack I'm using, and it's a function of the fact that I'm using Mr. Crayfish's furniture mod that makes it a little bit harder for me to produce the black stone. I actually have to make cobble black stone and then smelt it into smooth black stone. Right? But now that I've got the lower layers out, I've also got a road leading up to the entrance, which will be on the side. You can see me taking down the roof around my old spawn area. The new spawn area is going to be in the entryway to my Thaumcraft production facility. And yes, I did make sure that the spawn point was incorporated. Now that I've got the baseline for the first floor sorted out, it is time to start the process of building up. After, of course, grabbing some more materials in my storehouse. I mean, if I were doing this a bit further away from Byzantium, I'd probably be a bit more careful about making sure I have the resources I need, but because the storehouse is right there, it's that building in the background with the sloped roof. It's not that hard to gather extra materials, so it's not a big deal if I run short of materials. Now, having used a dirt pillar to mark the center, I am using some Thaumcraft stone to mark the center. This will be where my Infusion Altar will go. Now, at this point, I am laying some smooth black stone around the edge. And then I've got a ring of white stone bricks. It will be too thick. The outer of the two white stone brick layers will be where I put my jars. And of course, the portion to the inside will be where I walk. As for the edge, that smooth blackstone area on the second floor, well, that will come into play next stage. But I'm just putting it there for the time being so that I don't have to completely rebuild this next stage. And yes, I am doing some basic layout for my Infusion Altar. And yes, I am grabbing more materials out of my storehouse. Now it's time to build up the walls for the second floor. Not a terribly difficult job. Admittedly, this was one of my shorter time lapses. And yes, I did fall off the wall a couple of times. Also went ahead and took care of the scaffolding on the outside because I had interior scaffolding that I could use to get up and down. Alright, and we have the edge for the third floor. So it's time to lay down the smooth white stone bricks. around the edge, of course, before making my way in towards the interior. Of course, I also grabbed some stone bricks and stone brick slabs to provide some edging, because this third floor is actually going to be open to the outside. I am not enclosing it completely. Alright, now I'm making my way towards the center on each of the four sides. And the reason for that is so that I can put some glass in the center. But for now, let's put some smooth black stone on the four sides. And yes, that is me running back into my storehouse to grab some glass, which will go into the middle. Et voila! Alright, now that we have the building for our new Thaumcraft production center, it's time to populate it a bit. And I'm actually going to start over here on this side of the first floor. And I'm going to start by digging up the floor a little bit. Yes, the floor that I did just lay down. I'm going to lay down some netherrack. Go ahead and set that on the side. Actually, I'm going to start by putting the cauldrons next to each other. And I can go ahead and turn them into crucibles from Thaumcraft. All I have to do is whack them with my wand. Now that I have the crucibles, I can take my flint and steel. The recipe is very simple. It's flint and iron ingot. Go ahead and light the netherrack. That will stay lit forever. Go ahead and put the crucible on top. I have no system for putting water in it just yet. I'll probably sort one out off camera. I'll probably even take care of it manual, at least initially. Alright, let me go ahead and see if I can't fix up the lighting in this room a little bit. I know the torches on the... I'm going to need some torches on the floor, I know that much. Yeah, let's see. Like so. Like that. Interesting. Alright. How about one there? And yeah, one there. Just keep it well lit. Alright. Now, the other thing I want to do on the first floor is get a table. And I'll set it up here. Whack it with the wand, and it becomes an arcane work table. Now, the arcane work table is mostly used for Thaumcraft crafting, but you can also do regular crafting with it. I'm going to actually make something from open blocks with it. It's ender pearl surrounded by wool, and it gives me the elevator from open blocks. Alright, and I'm actually going to go ahead and set it down here. I'm going to go up a floor, set it down, and then, okay, get up to the third floor first, lay it down. Now, instead of having to worry about the scaffolding, all I have to do is jump up and go down. Up and down. Et voila. While I'm at it, before I go too much further, there is a little bit more crafting I need to do. So first off, I'm going to take the silverwood logs. Do not turn them into planks. I actually want to go ahead and craft 2 of these Vs filters. I'm going to go ahead and grab myself 2 buckets. I believe, let me think, I believe it's Vs filter on the top. Yes, there we go. Vs filter on the top left, gold on the top right, bucket in the middle, iron everywhere else except the bottom. And that allows me to make the arcane alembic. And it just occurred to me that I didn't grab enough cobblestone. Thankfully, my magic area is not very far from my workshop. Let me go ahead and grab a little bit of cobblestone real quick. Here we go. I have one, so That's the other 7 I need. Now I can make my way back over to the magic area and to my Thaumcraft workshop. And over to my arcane work table. Now I can go ahead and turn the cobblestone into a furnace. Put the furnace in the middle, a crucible on top. I'll go ahead and put the arcane stone around it, and I get an alchemical furnace. I'll explain what those are used for shortly. Finally, and admittedly, it's not an immediate need, but I will use them, so I might as well craft them on camera. Clay and 3 glass gives me glass files. This does not use any aspects for my wand, which I will go ahead and grab because I will need the wand very shortly. There we go. Now I'm up on the 2nd floor, and the first thing I'm going to do is place the arcane stone blocks. I had placed the arcane stone bricks during the time lapse, as well as the arcane pedestals. I'll go ahead and place the runic matrix on top. Go ahead and get rid of the temporary scaffolding. Now, if I whack this with my wand, there we go. I now have an Infusion Altar. But of course, the Infusion Altar is not the end of the story. There is, because in order for this Infusion Altar to be of any use, I need to fill up some warded jars with some essence. Now, you did see me craft some warded jars in the in the first segment, I believe. Now, what I can do is place the alchemical furnace, go ahead and get arcane stone block so I can get on top here. Alright, and I can place the arcane alembics on top. Now, if I go into the arcane furnace, you'll see there's 2 slots. The bottom slot is for fuel. The top slot is for the material to be rendered down. Actually, let me go ahead and grab some, whatchamacallits. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and grab some, well, first off, some fuel. Yes, fuel. Go ahead and grab myself 8 of that. Now, I do have some specific needs, but cobblestone should get me a respectable start on those needs. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a stack of cobblestone, make my way back over to my Thaumcraft workshop, make my way up to the 2nd floor, throw the cobblestone in the top slot, and I'll go ahead and throw some coal in that 2nd slot. And you can see that it is rendering down into its essences. And let me get a thermometer out. Wonder if I can... Well, I can certainly get some research points out of it, at least. Alright. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this glass file. Alright. I have now a file of Perditio essence. And if I go with the top one, I get Saxum essence. Remember, cobblestone is 1 Perditio and 1 Saxum. So I'll go ahead and throw the Perditio into this warded jar, and the Saxum into this warded jar. Wow. 1 piece of coal goes for quite a while. Alright. So let me get more essence out of here. Alright. Well, I can at least fill the jars. There we go. Like so. Well, that wasn't too bad. Okay, so it gives me a sense of how much is in the alembic. And the answer is almost empty, which I think means not enough to fill a glass vial. That's alright for the time being. I have some Perditio and some Saxum. And unfortunately, the thermometer isn't giving me the ability to see what's inside these jars, but that's alright. There is a recipe for a label, and actually I should probably go ahead and craft some labels while I've got the chance. It's not hard. I think I've got the materials in the workshop for it, but I'll double check. Let me think. I believe it is paper and slime balls. I think that's all there is to it. So grab 4 slime balls. Hopefully I've got paper. Oh yes, I do have paper in here, so let's go ahead. Okay, maybe I'm mistaken on something. Do I need some magic lessons? Okay, so I also need an ink sac and 4 paper per. Alright, well that's fine. Paper's not too hard. And I'm pretty sure I have enough ink sacs. Yeah. And it doesn't look like it uses any magic at all, so yeah, let's go ahead and craft up some nice jar labels. And it looks like this is as far as I can realistically get this episode with magic. I can at least get the label applied to the 2 jars I've filled so far. That will be helpful, I think. And yes, I do have specific combinations of aspects that I need to obtain. I will likely take care of the rest of my aspects off camera. Yeah. That said, I will see you next time, everybody.